This is the machine that I use most of the time when I sew. It was manufactured in the 1950s. It is a Pfaff 260. They're not made anymore, but if you find one, believe me, I'd snatch it right up. It can either have a machine under the head, this is the head, or it can be set in an industrial table as I have it here. I have my machine hooked up to an industrial motor, which is underneath the machine, and this enables me to sew at top speed when I want to. It has gears, it's all metal parts, and it's highly reliable. I just had it reconditioned, and I'm very happy with it. Sews like a dream. When you sew, there's some basic equipment that you need. First of all, you need a sewing box. This sewing box was actually a candy box. I discarded the candy because I didn't care much for the candy, but the box is really wonderful. I have a tape measure. This is probably one of the best pieces of technical equipment you can use. It's wonderful. People even give it to you for free. So there it is. You have to have one of those, of course. A little pair of scissors, but what I prefer are these. They're called thread clippers on the internet, but in the industry you all call them snips, and they just cut off the little threads, and they're really easy to use. You need a stitch ripper, of course, because you know the saying, as you sow, so shall ye rip. And here's one, and this works out very well. I rip out a lot, I'll be honest with you. I make mistakes all the time. The only thing to do is when you make a mistake, you fix it right away. That way you don't keep sewing and then have to go back, take it all out and fix it. Fix it as soon as you make the mistake and you'll get done a lot faster. We'd all like to sew and not make any mistakes, but there's nobody in the world that does that. All right, there's a thimble. Every once in a while I need that. All right, and I have, let's see what else I have in here. This is for cutting buttonholes open. I don't use that very much, but it's in there anyway. Of course, I have a little emery board, because we all know our nails sometimes get beat up with sewing. And here's some other things that I keep in my box, but for now I just have on my sewing machine. This is a little metal box, and in this I keep my needles. I don't use pin cushions because you put them in, you take them out, you put them in, you take them out. You can spend a lot of time putting things in and out of pin cushions. This back in this box. And this is my little box that I keep my pins in. This originally had mints in it, and I toss the mints because I don't really care much for mints. And in here I have my silk pins. And if I spill them, and let's spill some right now, I have a little magnet, bingo, and up they go. And that's a lot faster than dealing with pin cushions. Right now I'm putting my magnet on my machine because if I sew, bingo, I can pick up pins as I pull them out of the garment. All right, so you've seen all that. I'm going to just roll this back up and put it in my box. You'll notice that I start rolling the 60-inch marking first so that when I take it out, I can start right up with 1 inch. Let's stick that in there. All right, now you'll notice that I have, I'm going to open my light there, that I have a piece of fabric between the feed dog and the presser foot. This is called the feed dog. These are little teeth that stick up, and they go like this as you sew, and the presser foot goes up and down like this, and this moves the fabric along. All right, but when you're not sewing, you should have a piece of fabric between the feed dog and the presser foot, and you should have the presser foot down. You do this so that you reduce the tension on the spring, and your machine will last longer. You'll have less problems with it, or no problems at all, hopefully. I want to point out that sewing is actually an engineering project. If you are sewing, you need to be using engineering procedures because this is what enables your clothing to fit you when you're done. Let's face it, we don't want to make something, go to all that work, and then find out when we're all done that the garment doesn't fit us. And the secret to fit is to be very particular with your tracing your patterns, to be very particular with setting up the seam allowances, to make sure that fits you correctly. So I'm advising that you make a muslin first with any new pattern you use, and then you want to make sure that you cut the garment out correctly, cut the fabric correctly. You want to make sure that you sew it on gauge, and that's very important. If it's sewn even a fraction off gauge, it can throw the fit off sometimes as much as a size, because it's a matter of each seam allowance. If you are off, say, 1/8 of an inch on a seam allowance, that's actually a quarter because it's 2 plies of fabric. And if you're off a quarter on every set of seam allowances, and you got 4 seam allowances, you're off a whole inch. And a whole inch is a difference in size with the petites. So that matters. All right, so anyway, and if you're off an inch in the larger sizes, where the increase per size is 2 inches, you'll be off a half a size. You don't want that. You want your garments to fit you and look good. And if you're taking a bigger bite, your garment's going to be smaller. Taking a smaller bite, your garment's going to be looser. So you've got to be careful. And a bite, by the way, is the difference between the needle and the edge of the seam allowance. That's what bite means. That's jargon in the industry. So I'm going to show you how to put on a gauge. Now, first of all, we'll lift the needle up good and high, and we put the gauge underneath. And I'm going to put on my glasses because it makes things just a little sharper. And you put the needle down on 1/4 on the second line on your transparent ruler. If you don't have one of these rulers, you really need to buy one. They're not expensive, and they are fantastic. Everybody in the industry uses this ruler. And I put my presser foot down, and I see that the edge of my presser foot is 1/4 of an inch away from the needle. So I don't need to put a gauge there because I've already got a gauge. All I have to do is run all the 1/4 inch seam allowances right along the very edge of the presser foot. I'll get these out of my drawer here so I take them off. This is a snap-on foot that has 1/4. Let's see if I'm right. Yeah, the needle would be way over here to the right when you have that on your machine. I'm going to take this all off so you can see. This is a plate that no longer comes with sewing machines. This is a straight stitch plate. Granted, this machine was built in the 1950s, and back then sewing machines always came with a plate for straight stitching. Zigzagging was new to sewing machines around that time, or maybe just a little before. So you also got a plate for zigzagging. And here's the zigzag plate. Most machines today give you only the zigzag plate because they found out that home sewers don't change the plates. So the companies have decided, we'll save some money. We won't provide this plate, and you don't get it. And if you're wondering why when you're sewing, putting this in place, and I'm putting my zigzag foot on too, okay? If you're wondering why when you're sewing straight stitching that your fabric jams down into the race, and that's underneath the machine. I'm going to lift this up so you can see what I'm talking about. Get this off. This is the race, and we all know the fabric can jam down in there and it can be an absolute mess. And you don't want that happening, especially when you're working with fabric like silk or chiffon. And the reason it does is because you're using a zigzag foot and you're using a zigzag plate. And the machine can't keep the fabric up on the bed. It's going down into the race and it's making a big mess. If you got snap-on feet, or if you have a machine like this and you want to use snap-on feet, you will have an adapter. The adapter would come on a machine with snap-on feet, but a machine like this wouldn't have it. But you can buy this adapter. All right, so I'm going to put the adapter on this machine so I show you that I can use snap-on feet on a machine that was built in the 1950s. And there it is. And now I can use a snap-on foot, which might be the easiest to get if you want a straight stitch foot. Do it the way, there you go. And it's good to go. And that will prevent the fabric from getting jammed down in the race. Okay, I've seen all that. So the next thing is we need a gauge. And the first thing I'm going to do is lay the roller under the presser foot. I'm going to drop the needle, and I drop the edge, and I see that the edge of this presser foot is really 1/4 of an inch. It extends maybe 1/32 of an inch beyond 1/4, which will still be okay. That's not enough to get all concerned about. Okay, that gives me the gauge for 1/4. Now I want a gauge for 3/8 because that's the gauge that you would use when you're sewing sleeves into armholes, or you're sewing a waistband onto a skirt. Like I said, see, there's that 1/32 of an inch, so it looks like it's not quite 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the presser foot. What we all know about that extra 1/32 of an inch that's on that presser foot. And I'm going to take some, let's see, this is masking tape. Masking tape, you can use masking tape or you can use drafting tape, but it doesn't matter which. All right, so this bobbin I'm going to wind through here and goes around through here, and this, I've done this many times, so I don't need to watch the, I don't have to use the manual to see how to do it. Here's a little hole here which goes right on this little peg, and put it in like that. And I'm going to wind the thread around here like this a bit. Put this on, and the thread goes over top. I put it into the bobbin case. I bring it around and it snaps in like this, and you can feel it snap. You hear it, just this very light sound. So I'm going to put it in. This is a front load, and I feel with my finger, and I put it in by feel. I've done this so many times I don't need to look at the manual. By the way, all these little holes that they tell you in the manual to put the thread through are actually tensions. This is not the only tension. This is a tension, this is a tension, this is a tension. It all has to go through exactly as it tells you in your manual. If you don't have a manual, go online. I've never known a manual to be anything but free. You can get manuals for machines that were built in the early 1940s. They're up there. And thread it all the way through like this. Okay, this all the way through. The needle has a scarf. And if you feel with your finger, you can feel that indentation. That is the scarf. And when the machine sews, the needle goes down so that the thread will engage with the bobbin, the thread that's on the bobbin. And the thread is actually in this scarf. So when the needle is put into the machine, it must be put in so that the thread will go into the scarf when the needle goes down into the race. If you have trouble getting the thread to go through the eye of the needle, you can wet it, because if you're using cotton-covered polyester, cotton thickens when you wet it, and that's why, and it makes it stronger. Your saliva will strengthen the cotton that's surrounding the polyester inside the thread, and it'll be easier to thread it. All right, so now the next thing I want to do, this is an older machine. So in this case, I need to put the needle down and bring it back up again to bring the thread up.